A lot of people dream of multiplying their income, but few imagine it's possible from a kindergarten classroom. For Sarah Robbins, it wasn't just possible, it became her purpose.
Got no money to start up anything. I've got no entrepreneurial backgrounds. It's like, I've got nothing else going for me.
From part-time preschool teacher to the leader of a $2 billion annual sales organization, Sarah Robbins didn't just build a team, she built a method, the Multiply Method. And she's taught thousands to do the same. She's coached top leaders across industries, mentored mamas during nap time. She's simplified the process of prospecting, launching, and leading, so more people can win without the overwhelm. She's a teacher at heart, a mentor by choice, and a multiplier by design. In this episode of the Authentic Networker podcast, we go behind the method, to the mission, the mindset, and the moments that made it real.
Richard Bliss Brooke here. We are live.
We sit here today with none other than Mark Victor Hansen,
Bob Proctor. This is Kendra Hall.
Sonia Stringer,
Jack Canfield. DeWitt Jones.
James Clear,
Les Brown.
Hey everybody, Richard Bliss Brooke here with the Authentic Networker, and guess who's in the house? Sarah Robbins, Rockin' Robbins is in the house.
Hello.
And we are launching a new book,
What?
which I just read. But I'm so excited to have you here, Sarah, to help you launch this book and to share your wisdom and your journey with the world. So,
Are one of my longtime mentors, so I have to say, this is like so cool, full circle. For those who read my first book, okay, and we talked about the $50 million woman, guess who named her? This guy right here.
I did happen to see that story in this book too.
Yes.
She is in there. She's in there. And I remember that. That was one of your first speeches, maybe your first speech.
Yeah. You heard all the first speeches.
It was your first presentation at Mastermind, and you were pretty stressed out, and you had to kind of qualify, if you mess up your first presentation at Mastermind, you don't get to come back.
No, you don't.
And so that's where the $50 million woman came from.
Yeah. As he said, instead of calling her Negative Nelly, you got to look at, what was the cost of that mistake? For those of you who don't know, now you need to buy the book. But no, really what we're talking about is people who quit, right? The biggest mistake you make anyhow. So I'm so thankful to be here and just grateful for all of your wisdom over the years. And I'm excited for our chat today.
Yeah, well, everybody else is too. So for those of you that do not know who Sarah Robbins is, she's a school teacher from Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
Motown.
Yeah.
And then she found network marketing. And then she just sponsored a couple hundred people, which is, what everybody else is supposed to do. And then she got about a dozen of them to build teams. And she built a team of like 200,000 or 300,000 people that did $1 billion or $2 billion in revenue every year for many years.
Yeah, many. Almost.
And that is not just building an empire in network marketing. That's just not building a team. I mean, that's bigger than 99.9% of every network marketing company. The Rockin' Robbins team is bigger than almost every company that's ever launched in this profession. And then, of course, what we'll talk about is, hey, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes you got to pivot, and sometimes you got to relaunch. And so that's what Sarah's in the middle of now, because her company, Rodan & Fields, decided that network marketing was not their way. Which, we won't even go there unless we need to go there. I don't know. But anyway, this is Sarah Robbins, and this is the new book, The Multiply Method. And if anybody knows anything about Multiply, it's the lady that sponsored a couple hundred people and turned them into 200,000 or 300,000 for $1 billion a year in sales. And that's what network marketing is all about. And now Sarah is starting over And so we'll talk about that. But Sarah, I don't know, maybe let's start here, because we just don't want to skim over school teacher from Detroit who found network marketing.
Yeah.
Tell us that story.
Yeah.
Where were you? Who were you? Who got a hold of you? Who complimented you?
I actually won't forget, by the way. I used to waitress at Applebee's back when I was in college. And I remember getting approached by a Mary Kay lady. And she said, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Do you want to be a face model?" And I'm like, when have I ever been this beautiful before? And that was like my first like approach by somebody. But no, I didn't get my start in Mary Kay. I was a school teacher back in the recession of '08. We all know what happened in Motown, Motor City. The automotive industry took a big nosedive. And so Michigan's economy was hit hardest. Although I was the most requested teacher in the building, I taught kindergarten, teacher tenure trumped performance. So I was in this place where, and I always say pressure promotes you. I had to look for extra income. And that's how I found my company. It was not in direct sales. It was a retail brand, and it was the creators proactive. They decided to do for aging what they did for acne. They put it in retail. My mom was working for them doing events, and she said, "I can get you a job making $20 an hour." So there it was, $20 an hour. At the time, I was making $2,200 a month teaching. I had a $100 budget for the whole year. And because of the district that I taught in, we were not able to ask parents to help out. They just couldn't. And so things were tight. So $20 an hour to me, like that was gold, and just happened to be in the right place at the right time. That company, Rodana Fields, they started looking for ways they could reach more people. They decided to leave retail, go into direct sales, said, "Do you want to do this?" And I will be the first to say, I was like, no, I do not. Because I was shy. I was young. I was broke. I had 19 cents in my bank account. And my friends were young and broke like me. But my mom was actually a savvy, serial, successful entrepreneur. She did everything to stay at home with her 3 girls, like growing up. And she's like, "Hey, I know people who have done this and they have done really well. We'd be crazy not to do it." So I'm the firstborn of 3, the compliant kid. So I listened to my mom and I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I will say it was not a quick starter by any means. It took me 3 months to recruit my first person.
Wow.
You probably remember me in the back of the room when I first started going to Mastermind, because
Yes.
we didn't have an upline. We didn't have trainers. We didn't have a compensation plan when I started. So I would buy the books. I remember buying Jordan Adler's book. I remember buying your book. I remember buying the Flip Flop CEO book, and literally I was like, I'm going to buy all of the books. I'm going to learn from all the people, because like, surely if they can do it, I can do it. I just have to figure out, I have to be a student of this. But I would tell you, it's like we always talk about our why, but it's like your willing to has to be greater than your wanting to. And I'm like, $2,200 a month. That's what I have to cover. That's what I have to do in order to like do this. And I just, initially, I didn't know anything about recruiting. It's actually a really funny story. My mom was like, "This is so huge. Let's not tell anybody." So we didn't tell anybody at first. We just started selling. And I sold my way past the $2,200 a month. That didn't last very long. Eventually, we realized we had to start telling people. And when we did, I met my first business partner who changed everything. I think you know her, Natalia. And I watched my check at the time. This is way back in the beginning. It went from $3,800 to over $11,000 a month. That was back in the day of the paper checks. And I was like, something is dreadfully wrong here. I should not cash this check. They must have made a mistake. So I remember like calling the company and I was like, "Hey, is this real? Should I cash this? Because I don't want to do it. It's not, legit." And it was at that point that I realized, I was like, okay, that there's gold that comes from creating a sales team, really replicating yourself. And I remember going on a walk with Phil, and we watched our income consistently grow. And we had great mentors. One who said, live on 20% of what you make. So we gave it time. Eventually put in my leave of absence, and I never went back. And I feel like I still owe someone an apology.
You probably do, but I don't want to skip over some of this gold, Sarah. So one of the things I want to point out to the listening audience is Sarah Robbins, the $1 billion brand, said no.
Oh, yeah.
And fortunately, your mom, well, she probably didn't actually hear it this way, but the end result was the same. She heard something like, not now, or not really, or that's okay. Mom has a different perspective on things, so let's reconsider. And of course, one of the things that you do beautifully in your book is help people understand that no may mean no in the moment, but it doesn't mean no forever.
Yeah.
Because everything changes. Life changes. Circumstance changes. Perspectives change. And so if you take no as, okay, well, I've already asked that person, right? I ask people all the time, so when's the last time you asked this, bro? I already asked them. Well, how long ago? Well, when I first got in. And they said, no, how long was it ago? It was 8 years ago. Well, something's happened in the last 8 years. They might be a yes now. You might want to check in on them. So you said no. I think that's pretty significant. Do you remember, Sarah, you said it'd take 3 months for you to enroll your first person. That's really significant too, because most people would have quit.
Oh, yeah. I threatened to quit a lot.
Yeah, most people would have quit in 3 months of not enrolling anybody. What do you think kept you in the game those 3 months?
Oh, man. So a few things. I remember going with one of my mentors at the time. They eventually, had people come in to corporate, train, all the things. I remember going to an Italian dinner and literally just like crying. I was like, how can I make $2,200 a month in case I lose my teaching job? I will just say it was like, and again, we always talk about our why, but honestly, it was a deep drive, hunger. I was like, I don't know how else. I mean, you have to keep in mind, I'm in my 20s. I've got no money to start up anything. I've got no entrepreneurial backgrounds. It's like, I've got nothing else going for me, right? Besides these $20 an hour side jobs, side hustles. So for me, I had to make it work. That was it. I had to make it work. I don't care if I was selling Q-tips, ice cubes, whatever the case may be. It was I have to make it work, whatever it's going to take. I have to learn the system. I've got to learn the product. And I will tell you, when I look back and I think the things that I actually did to promote it, I was on Craigslist, literally, no joke, placing ads, doing the things. I would never do that today. I shared this funny story the other day. I think it was with Rob Sperry's group. And I was talking about how I would go and place these ads. I was interviewing, employees. I do not recommend this to anybody, by the way. Don't do this. Okay? This is nearly 20 years ago. And I would meet people and do interviews in these random places. And I'm I'm thankful that I am still alive. But all of that to say, again, it was I was hustling. I was putting myself out there every single day. I was, learning how to do the business, failing forward a lot, and just had a wit, do whatever it takes attitude.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I hear there that I see missing a lot in people in their initial journey, maybe 3 months, maybe even it's 3 years they've been in, and they're not learning the way you learned. So you rattled off, Jordan's book and Flip Flop CEO. And
4-year career. Whose book is that?
You're studying some of the classic books on the profession, and that's a difference maker, folks, because if you've never done this before, this is not teaching kindergarten. This is not plumbing. This is not an electrical contractor. This is not being an engineer. It's not being a lawyer. It's not being a doctor. It's different. This is a different profession, and man, isn't it amazing how many people try to be successful, kind of even expect to be successful, but they don't know the first thing about our profession. They haven't bothered to learn it yet. And so that's it. Key, folks. Sarah studied, and she had mentors, and she paid attention to them. And that's a difference maker. So when did that $13,000 check come? Do you remember that? Do you remember what month that came or what year?
It was about, it was sometime within that first, I think it was like after that first year, and it was in there was just several months that it took to go from 3,800 to over 11,000. But I will tell you what happened was Natalia had a great, like, kind of a local friends group and market. And so what they did, I always say, like, she built a local groundswell. It was out of Franklin, Tennessee. They would go every week, meet at a coffee shop and say, next week, invite your friends. They taught their team one simple skill set, only one, and it was inviting. Hey, we're doing this again next week, invite your friends. They went from small coffee shop to big coffee shop, then a small clubhouse at somebody's neighborhood to a big clubhouse, then a small hotel to a big hotel. And eventually they had thousands of people. I remember one time going to one of their events and people were like lining up the stairwell. And that was the first time that I just saw in person, right? Just the power of our profession.
And how many people did you enroll before you found Natalia?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. Not many. And I will say this, because that's when I was still finding my way. It was like, I had the 2 people and then one person quit. And I was like, well, that's half of my team. She was actually one of the people who saw the Craigslist ad.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's true. It is true. Now people are going to go place Craigslist ad.
So, I mean, this wouldn't be a stretch of the imagination to say Sarah Robbins wouldn't be Sarah Robbins if she hadn't have prospected on Craigslist.
This is true. This is probably the funniest interview I've ever done. I'm going to tell all the good old days juicy stories.
So, we're going to spend an hour telling you everything Sarah did to build $1 billion business, but you can't do any of it.
No. No, after that, though, I will say, after that, it was like, okay, start plugging in learning systems, literally, as you mentioned, went on to recruit hundreds of people. I ended up being the #1 recruiter at the company overall and maintained that for nearly 20 years. So it's constantly, in the trenches, building the team, building our frontline. I mean, arguably, we had even one of the most successful frontline teams. We had so many people. It was like 50 people at a time that were ranking up in the plan, just like personally enrolled.
Yeah.
And those very senior leaders in the company, maxing the top of the pay plan, 15. There were 15 of them. So we had 15 really solid leadership lines. So it was powerful, what we were able to build over the course of 20 years. And here's the best part. When you look at the success of that sales team, and what's so crazy to me is at the end of my time there, we were still doing over 1.6 billion in sales. But what is so crazy to me is that team was homegrown. You know this to be true. Many people don't. I did not recruit one person from another company.
Right.
We did not have one industry leader who joined us that, was successful. These were all everyday people, moms, teachers, nurses, etc.
Probably never had done network marketing before in their lives.
And that is the best part.
It is. That's the best way to do it, for sure.
Yeah. And we just kept it super, super simple for people. And honestly, I still believe this today. It's like what you simplify, you multiply. We kept things so simple in the beginning. That's even what my mom and I did. It was like every week we had these weekly meetings and we're like, hey, invite a friend, and literally up until the end, we had those weekly meetings for our teams. Eventually you go, okay, we've got the in-person stuff. Now it's like a lot of the virtual stuff and it's invite. And that's what we taught our team to do. And that's how we were able to grow so fast.
Yeah. So one of the distinctions that I find people miss about network marketing, and the media doesn't help and regulators don't help and companies oftentimes don't help, is we miss the model, how the model actually works.
Yeah.
This is a model where we get paid on customers and only on customers. But we miss what is the best way to get the most customers. I mean, how do you do $1 billion a year in business? Is it by gathering customers from a kiosk? Or is it from recruiting sales leaders who actually recruit sales leaders who recruit sales leaders, who recruit sales leaders, who recruit sales leaders. Oh my gosh, I'm aghast. Are you saying that we actually focus on recruiting? Well, actually, yes, because that's how you get the most customers, because every sales leader attracts all these customers.
That's right. And that's the thing that these affiliate companies don't understand, by the way, is that's how you create sales that multiply. You have a sales team. There is no way I would have known a million people. I mean, we had millions of customers doing billions of dollars in sales. Momentum in our business is created by a lot of people, each selling a little bit, then a little bit more. That's it.
Yeah. This is a business of masses and masses of people. You do $1 billion because you have 300,000 people. It's very simple math.
It's true.
And so how do you get those people? Well, network marketing, the inventors, the crafters, they created this very simple rule. Every customer can recruit another customer, and that customer can recruit customers, and all customers can recruit customers. And yes, they may need to check a box and pay $50 and jump through a hoop and get a kit and become a whatever distributor, but anybody can do that. And so anybody can build a sales team, and that's how we get exponential growth. So recruiting is the answer to growth. And yeah, nobody's going to build a sales organization in any company unless they fall in love with the product. So the journey may start with a product experience, but if the conversation of opportunity is not part of that package, you just end up with a customer that is just a customer. They don't duplicate. The book's all about duplication. So I want to drill down, Sarah, because you spend a great deal of beautiful time in this book on recruiting. And it is the number one challenge that people have today. And of course, today people say things like, oh, nobody wants to do network marketing anymore. And, nobody blah, 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 blah. And, we heard that 20 years ago, and we heard it 10 years ago. I heard it 40 years ago. It's not true.
Yep. Agree.
So how do you recruit people?
Yeah. And I do want to say this too, and I'm going to answer that question, but it's like, let's bust the myths here. Like, the industry has been around, over 100 years? And so it's not dying, it's changing. When I look at our story, it's so rare. It's a tale of private equity. We joined a company and you're 70 years old. And since we joined a year ago, over 200,000 people have joined. There's so many myths like, well, you can't go in if it's saturated. I'm like, who said that? Like, who made that up? So here's the thing. Let's talk about recruiting, because there are so many people who are hungry and need opportunity today. Like, now is the time for our profession. I know you have the same heart as I do. It's like, let's redeem it and let's be the people. It's like a healthy profession is healthy for all of us. So when I'm sharing my business with other people, like you just mentioned earlier, I'm sharing with them the 2 ways to join. There's 2 ways you can join the company. You can join as a customer and get these benefits, or as an ambassador, distributor, whatever you call it, and get these additional benefits. I'm always upselling the business. And if I know there's some people that are like, hey, I don't want to, kind of upsell them into the business unless they really need to sell. So ask them, could you imagine sharing your results and a referral link with a friend? If the answer is no, keep them as a customer. If the answer is yes, introduce the business. And then on the back end, right, if you didn't have that conversation out, because there are probably people, I share this all over my Facebook as well. So it's like, there are people watching, they've got hundreds of customers. They've never sponsored a person. What do we do then? You go back in your customer follow-up, and I share just 5 points of follow-up in the book. One of them is, hey, not sure if I mentioned this to you before. As an ambassador, I get great discounts or I get great benefits in the business. Would you be open to hearing more about that, right? And think about this. Customers actually make your best brand ambassadors, right? Because they're already excited. They're elated about the results. And of course, these are going to be the people who are more apt to share. And I think
here's a follow-up hack for you to add to that. So let's say you have a customer that's bought for a year, $150 for a year, it's $1,800, right? You message them and call them up and say, hey, you've spent, Sarah, $1,800 in the last year on these products, and I so appreciate having you as a customer. I'm just curious how you would feel if the company sent you a check this week for $1,800 and you got all your money back.
That's
And
good.
they're of course going to go, well, that would be awesome.
That's good.
So you would actually be open to learning how to get your products for free? Because you could have been getting them for free, $1,800 worth. So the company's not going to send you $1,800 retroactively, but I can show you how to get it for the next 18 or 12 months. So if you package it, people are open. If you ask people a hypothetical like, Sarah, hey, I know you haven't even tried, they haven't even tried the product yet, but hey, Sarah, I know you haven't even tried this yet, but if you do try it, you take it home and you use it for 30 days, just like I told you to use it. Like every day, exactly the way I told you to use it. Don't skip any days. Exactly the way I tell you to use it. And it actually blows your mind. Like you have never experienced results like this stuff gives you in the next 30 days. Like your life is not the same and never will be. I'm just curious. Would you tell anyone? And they're going to say yes.
I love that leading, by the way, with an offer and a guarantee. I talk about closing people. It's like, that's the easiest way to close people is to say, hey, today I can get you this, right? Sharing with them the benefits. We have an empty bottle guarantee or whatever the guarantee is. So you have nothing to lose. And then ask, would you like to give it a try? And by the way, it's like subtle sales. Would you like to give it a try? So many people are afraid to ask. That's a question. So people have to answer, right? But it's not like I'm strong arming people to join me. I'm like, hey, would you like to give it a try? I'm sharing with them the offer, the best way to get the best price on the product. I'm leaning into the guarantee to give them confidence. And then I'm asking, would you like to give it a try? And boom, and all of a sudden we start closing even more people. And that's the thing. It's like when we create these selling systems for our team, we have to keep it simple because again, it's like what we simplify, we multiply all across every level of our team.
So some more tips on recruiting. 200 people or 300 people? How many people did you personally enroll? I forget the number. You know?
It was well over 300 people. We never had like, yep. Mm-hmm.
So some of the ways you did that. So once you went through your phone book, everybody you knew, Sarah, how did you call it networking? Because once we get past the people we know, we are supposed to network.
Yeah.
We're supposed to meet people and create connection and add them to our phone. How did you do that? How did you connect with being an introvert?
Yeah.
You said you were an introvert. How did you meet people? And then how did you create that connection such that you could add them to your phone, such that you could have a conversation with them?
Yeah. I would go to the networking events alone. I mean, I remember dripping sweat, but I'm like, I'm going to go put myself out there, meet people. I would go to the events. I mean, I hosted events. I did a monthly event, would change the theme, be like, bring a friend, fun doing facials. It's February, January, New Year, new you, it's like, but I did all the things that I put myself out there. I also asked for referrals too. And this is something that I feel like a lot of times we forget to do. It's like you've got a customer or a friend who trusts you. So interesting story, going back to, people might say no, but it might be no, not now, or I don't know enough. My sister, it took her 10 years to say yes. She saw my mom's success. She saw my success. Took her 10 years. She was a teacher too. And it was interesting for a while. I'm like, she's a school teacher. She needs extra money. So I said to her, Emily, I will give you free product or a portion of my cash bonus if you refer somebody on who joins. She's like, great, tell me what to say. What do I need to do? And whenever I would have an event, she would go and post on social media. One day, a gal who is also named Emily sees her post and says, I want to hear more about this business. She's like, great, let me connect you to my sister. She ends up joining. I pay my sister $50. That ended up being one of our top 5 legs or leaders, like income producing, team centers within our organization. My sister's like, you owe me major. So literally a $50 referral. And my sister Emily did end up joining us later, build to the top of leadership in our company as well. But again, it was like really putting myself out there, going the distance to say, who else do you know that might be great for the products, for the opportunity, doing the events, asking people to even host them for me as well. I would say, hey, my business is expanding in your area. Would you host an event for me? I mean, wherever they lived was where I was expanding, right? Eventually that translated into virtual events and things like that. And now today I do a lot of my sponsoring and selling on social media. And that's what I train a lot to my team as well, is like curiosity marketing, create curiosity, always having a 1-word call to action. Because here's the thing I'll say, and I've learned this over time. You can say, message me for more info. I could say it. I have a collective social media following, most of them on my Facebook page, of over 500,000 people. I could say right now, I could put together the most beautiful post, use ChatGPT, have the best graphic, and say, message me for info. You know how many people will message me? Maybe 1 or 2, I don't know, but most people don't. I can say, drop the word insider for info, and you can go and see a bunch of posts. Insider, 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 insider. Why? I gave a 1-word command, which people do. They don't want to go into the DM, send you a message. They don't know what to say. It's kind of awkward. They'll drop 1 word, and then you can go back. And we know that sales happen in the inbox, right? In conversation. Conversation is the currency of relationships. So it's like, I can go say, thanks so much for your comment. Have you ever tried anything like this before? And the best part is too, is like comments, right? Conversation is also the currency of social media. That's engagement. So it boosts our posts, more people see them. And I will say, this doesn't just work for the person with 500,000 followers. This is working widespread on our team, even with people with small accounts. And so with curiosity marketing, I'm always like, hey, you want to, let's say, for example, your company sells a collagen. There's a lot of companies that sell collagen, right? What you want to do is, in that caption is like, build the case for collagen. ChatGPT can help you. Why does everybody need a collagen? Okay. Then it's build the case for your collagen. And we're going to sell, don't tell. By sell, I don't mean like sales techniques. I mean, we're going to sell the benefits of your collagen. Again, ChatGPT, I'm with this company. It's this collagen. Give me a few talking points. Give me a few bullet points. So now you know why collagen. Now you know why my collagen. Comment the word collagen below for info. And boom, they comment collagen. And then I can message them and say, thanks for liking my post, or thanks for commenting on my post. Have you ever tried anything like this before? And now I'm in the inbox, right? Now I'm able to actually have that conversation. You know, when we started, like, and it was like, you know, when the internet started, like back, you know, Facebook, you could say you had a hot dog and you had 8,000 likes, right? You used to be able to post links. You can't post links now. It suppresses your post, right? The algorithm's going, wait a minute, girlfriend's trying to sell something. She's taking people off the platform onto something else. So now the way that you fix it is by saying, drop the word blank for blank. And there you go. And now you're able to give them more info.
There's $1 million tip, folks. And that works on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Even
Instagram.
Tippy, what is it? Tippy top, what is it?
TikTok. Yep.
I'm not that old. Hey, there is a price for quitting, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Ever tell everybody the story about the $50 million woman?
We started with it, so we got to bring it full circle. So this story, man, it should be the one that keeps you in the seat forevermore. So I sponsored somebody, probably from Craigslist, and she joined.
Either that or you put a door sign on your car.
It's true. It's true. She joined my business, and I will never forget. I was like, okay, we're going to try launching you this, that, the other. And it was like every instruction. And it was like, no, thanks, no, thanks, no, thanks. Finally, she's like, I'm going to quit. And I was like, will you just do me a favor if I write an email for you? And it's not like I was some like poetic writer, but I was like, would you put it out to your contact list like last ditch effort, she was like, sure, I will. So I write the email. She sends it out. On New Year's Eve, a woman she knew who was an artist, okay? She sees the email and she's like, I want to learn more about this. And I remember literally being in my teeny tiny little starter home. It's New Year's Eve. We have friends over, company over, and this artist, this lady, Susie, wanted to hear more about the opportunity. I said to my guests, I'll be right back. I go in the other room, have a whole conversation. She's like, I think I want to enroll. Great. So she enrolls on New Year's Eve, way to toast to new beginnings. And the gal, Sue, says, all that hard work, I quit. And I said, I would encourage you not to quit. She was like, no. And I'm like, hard work. You press the send button, sister. I wrote the email. I mean, come on. She totally unenrolls. Now, Susie enrolls Romy. You know Romy.
I know Romy.
Builds one of the largest, most successful sales teams in our previous company. We're partnered together today in our new company. And you said, now, originally I said, I was like, well, negative Nelly, you know, she always talked about all the reasons she couldn't do anything. You said, wait a minute. Actually, let's look at what she could have earned with average growth and, you know, conservative investments over time. To be honest, I mean, I think it was a pretty accurate guess. You said that's about a $50 million mistake. So we renamed her the $50 million woman. And do you want to know the best part? I don't know if you know this next part of the story, or maybe you do. But Susie, right, the one who stayed, who sponsored Romy, everybody always asks her the question, did Sue ever find out what kind of business she walked away from? And Susie said, oh, yes. I saw her at the supermarket and I told her thank you and told her everything that had happened and how it had changed my life. And I was like, I don't know that I would have had the guts to do it, but she did. She told her thank you for the opportunity, and the rest was history.
Yeah, and you know, it took a little bit of creativity, but I think that kind of creativity is important for people to understand the math that it's not just income. Yeah. So, you know, if Romy's group created, you know, $10,000 a month in income, that's not just what she lost. She lost, as you and I created in brainstorming, like, okay, well, if you make 10 grand a month and it's extra income and you make that for 10 years, and that's $1 million, and then compounded, it's actually $2 million, and then you invest that $2 million in real estate or equities over your life, that's $10 million.
Yeah.
And you just don't, and of course, there's a lot more money than that, right? Because Romy built this giant business. Yeah. It's easily $50 million. And one of the things that we don't realize about network marketing is if you build in a legacy company, and I want to talk about that for a minute, because yes, you built $1 billion business, unfortunately, and you would have never known, right? Nobody knows, but you leaned your ladder against the wrong wall.
That's a great way to describe it.
You leaned your ladder, you climbed all the way up the ladder, all the way up, 1 billion steps, all the way to the top of the ladder, only to find that it was a wall that was not connected to other walls, and it fell down. You know, private equity decides we don't want to do MLM anymore. It's too much hassle. We have to talk to all these people. We have to do events. We have to babysit them. We have to pay them lots of money. We have to pay people like Sarah Robbins 3 times more than we're paying our CEO. They don't like that kind of stuff, right? And so we're going to do affiliate, right? And they just decide to do that. It's just stupid because that brand is just going to go away. Oh. But you end up, fortunately, in the hands of a multi-billionaire that really understands network marketing, that owns Shackley, which is a 60-year-old plus 69-year-old network marketing company. And let me tell you something that happens in 69-year-old companies. So one, I have Shackley clients as a coach that are 3rd generation.
Yes.
You may not, the audience, you may, oh, what does that mean? That means their grandparents built the Shackley income.
Yep.
And died.
Yeah.
and left it to their parents who died, who left it to the grandkids, who very often find a coach like me and say, I got this check for 10 grand a month and I'm splitting it with my sister and we don't have any idea what to do with it. Can we make more than this? That'd be a yes, you actually can. And I know in Shackley, there are 5 generations. There are people that are 5th generation earning Shackley income.
Yeah.
So this is possible in companies that are here for the long haul.
Yeah.
You may say like, well, you know, you build one of these things, even if it's $2,000-$3,000 a month. And I want to ask you, okay, if you happen to build it, how long do you want to get paid?
Yeah.
Of course, the answer is forever, but people don't ever define forever. How long is forever? Is 50 years long enough? Most people would say, yeah, that's long enough. It's not long enough at year 49. If you get a notice that says you only got 12 more months of getting paid, people want to get paid forever.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, you got to have 2 things. You got to build in a company that's going to be here forever. Now, how do you know that? Well, you don't, except the best way to predict is track record. Look at the history. And then you have to sell a product or a product line that's going to figure out how to stay relevant forever, which requires reinventing and improving, but it's also got to be a product line that's relevant forever. And there are many companies in our profession that have figured out how to do this. Not most, but there are many. And so your team in Rodan and Fields is very fortunate to find Shackley and find a home there to this time go build that $1 billion again, only you've got kids, right? You and Phil have kids.
Yeah.
How old are they?
4 and 9.
Yeah, well, they're going to be very fortunate because when they're 40 or 50, you know, they could end up with, all of a sudden, you know, here's $100 grand a month for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And this is a wealth building opportunity if you pick the right company and the right product. And I know that's hard, but it's impossible if your value system is shiny object, product that sells itself, whose comp plan pays 15 different ways, who's got the fastest growing, all that BS. If that's your value system, forget it.
Yeah.
But if your value system is, I want to build something that lasts forever, well, then go pick a company that's been around for quite a while, that's got a product that you can love, and lean your ladder against the right wall. And I believe you guys have done that. I'm very happy that you have a safe, soft landing, thanks to Roger. And what do you see for your future? Because you're still young, Sarah. You and Phil are young, and yet you've already built so much. What are you gonna do in the next 5, 6, 7 years?
Well, we're going to build to $1 billion again. Okay. That's without a doubt. And I will tell you this. First of all, you know, it's like you said, like 20 years ago, I think our priorities were different and the industry was different. It's like looking for the shiny new. Now there are actually so many people, talented leaders that are looking for stable and strong. And I'm like, I'm attaching only my name and network to legacy and longevity. And so what you said, I hope everybody that's watching on the live version of this right now, I know this is going to be a podcast soon. I cannot wait to share this far and wide. It's like, smash the heart button, because truly it's like legacy and longevity. I want to build this one more time. I had a friend in the industry. She's a top leader, and she laughed and she's like, a 70-year-old's company. I was like, girlfriend, I wanted to be the oldest lady in the room at Rodan and Fields. And I was like, I'm going to be laughing all the way to the bank. That's just it. You know, ultimately it's like, I wanted stable, strong. I wanted peaceful. But here's the thing I want people to hear as well. It took me a split second. I did not have to build again. I didn't. It took me a split second to say, what do I want to do? And I had so many friends who cared about me, and they're like, you know, Blake Mallon was talking to me, and he's like, you know, have you thought about, do you want to do corporate? Do you want to do coaching? Would you want to start your own company? Took me less than 30 seconds to say, of course I want to do this again. Where else? What other business can you do on your time and your terms that is low cost and low risk, that you can help the average person become profitable right away? And you're not trading hours for dollars, your time for someone else's money. A split second. I was like, it's not a question of if. So for anybody who would hear my story and be scared, well, I mean, listen, I'm no fool. I'm not going to go and get into it again if I'm afraid okay, this is going to happen again. At the end of the day, it wasn't a question of if, it was just simply where. And I just I've said this from the very beginning. I'm like, we're not starting over. We're starting with wisdom, with experience, with systems, And so ultimately, if you build it, the right people will come. I also look at too, because you asked about, what we're planning on doing and continuing to do. I shared this the other day, and a lot of people don't know the story. It's like, it doesn't just allow you to live how you want to live, but give how you want to give. And for us, we gifted our first home, that starter home that I was telling you about, to a couple who needed a home free and clear. We called them on Christmas. We said, hey, we have a house for you. Her husband was sick, had Parkinson's. She was working away, gifted her a home. We've built orphanages overseas that actually, when they have a physical address, these kids, they get to go to school, they get 2 meals a day. We've helped hundreds of kids now. And I'm like, for me, I was used to writing 6-figure checks to help those kids. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, if it's not obviously my own kids, right? That fuels it. That's main primary reason why. But there are so many other people that this profession has helped along the way. And so that's a beautiful thing. For people who are listening today, and you think about what is your why? How do you want to live? How do you want to give? Who do you want to help? And can I just give one tip, because I shared this, this is just a very practical thing. A lot of times we can look at our business, and you may be thinking, well, that's easy for somebody to say who built this magnificent thing. I'm going to ask every person listening today one question. Just write this down. In part-time hours, what has your business allowed you to do? But just write this one statement. In part-time hours, my business allows me to blank. Now you fill in the blank. In part-time hours, does your business allow you to send your kid to preschool? In part-time hours, does your business allow you to pay for your kids' college? In part-time hours, does your business allow you to fund your retirement? When we focus on meaning versus money, not only is it motivating to us, it's motivating to other people too. And you tell me one person who in part-time hours from their smartphone doesn't want to fund their retirement today, or go on fabulous vacations, or whatever the case may be, you fill in the blank, right? So we've got to focus on not only, our why, but it's the whys that are attached to other people too. I am so thankful for the gift of this profession. It has absolutely transformed not only our lives, but the hundreds of thousands of people that we've been able to touch, and the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions more that we will throughout the rest of our career.
Yeah, and Zig Ziglar said it best. A lot of people try to say it more eloquently, but he coined it. You can get everything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And this model is such a beautiful way to do that, because your success in network marketing is not dependent on you personally, what you personally do. It is a massive team effort. And it's a massive team effort of volunteers. And the only way you get volunteers to do something in a business like this is if they are very well connected to what's in it for them. What's their motive? What is their why? What gives it meaning for them? And it's, like you say, it's not money, right? Money doesn't motivate anyone. It's just a stack of paper, or it's, digits in a whatever. It is what can we do with it? And it is a selfish life to set your life up just to make enough money for you. And people that do that have never had the experience of enough abundance to be able to actually, without any reservation, give to other people enough to change their life, like giving someone a home. That's life-changing. You say for them, that's life-changing for you.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah.
It is.
And whether it's a home or a meal or an airline ticket or clothes giving to other people is life-changing for us. And all that takes is a little extra abundance. And the way you get there is just tap into, what does everybody want? Look at what people spend their life doing. They spend their life trying to get what they want. And you can go ask a million people, hey, do you want a little bit or a lot more than you have now? Do you want more peace? Do you want more security? Do you want more fun? Do you want more health? Do you want more wealth? Do you want more cash flow? Do you want more travel? Do you want more adventure? Do you want more love? Do you want more relationship? Human beings want more. And we are a model of more. And all you got to do is fall in love with the product, authentically fall in love with the product. If you don't, go find one you fall in love with. And then ask yourself, hey, if this stuff rocks your world, are you going to keep it a secret or are you going to tell somebody? And if you're the kind of person who just might tell somebody, well, you just check the box. You're a network marketer. So if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right? Study it. Read the books. Listen to the podcasts. You've probably heard we don't remember 90% of what we heard 72 hours ago. So 3 days from now, if you're listening to this podcast, you're only going to remember 10% of what Sarah said. That'd be like Sarah was only audible every 10th word. What are you going to get listening once? Listen to it 100 times. We're all a product of our environment. We're a product of spaced repetition. We're a product of the input, right? If you were born and raised in Portugal, you would speak fala português. You would. So if you want to believe in yourself and believe in a model and be an expression of a model, if you want to be a network and be a successful network marketer, immerse yourself in successful network marketers. Study over and over and over and over and over again. People like Sarah and people like Jordan Adler. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Books, tapes, podcasts, stories. Study, immerse yourself. You will become.
I agree. I remember chasing Donna Johnson into a bathroom at the mastermind event. And I was like, she built a successful skincare team. I am too. And so I remember literally running in the bathroom. I mean, I was nobody. And I'm like, are you Donna Johnson? She's like, I'll be right back. And she was very kind. But it was so cool. Again, I would go to the events and listen to people. I was buying the books. I was doing the thing. So I see her because I think I read an article from her in a networking time. So I see her. I know her. I'm like, okay. And she answered all of my questions right outside the bathroom. I remember this vividly. And you know what was so cool? And again, you just have to put yourself out there. My team we were doing a little retreat in Arizona. And Donna's like, yeah, I have one of her homes, is in Arizona. She said, would you ever want to bring him over my home for lunch? And Richard, I was so young. Now I look back and I'm like, I should have at least offered to pay for lunch. She put together this beautiful lunch, hosted it for my leaders. She showed us what was possible. She never exchanged a business card. Literally, it was out of the goodness of her heart. And Jordan was in town, was like, hey, do you want me to pop in? I look back now. Can you imagine? You're at lunch at Donna Johnson's. Oh, we didn't even know. Lunch at Donna Johnson's home, legend in the industry. Jordan Adler shows up, and it's all of a sudden, my leaders, we were direct company, my mom, myself, we had nobody to follow. All of a sudden you see what is possible. But again, it's putting yourself in the right rooms, building the right relationships, getting to know the right people, and becoming, just like you said, a student of our profession. I wish I could move the screen right now and show you the bookcase full of books that I have bought and I have read cover to cover to study this stuff and to learn people's stories and to pick up the little nuggets of wisdom.
And folks, just in case you're not clear, those are two, Jordan Adler and Donna Johnson, those are two direct, well, Donna at least, competitors of Sarah. Competitive companies, competitive product, competitive opportunity, helping each other. And there is a group of leaders in this profession that really believe that a rising tide does lift all ships, and we need more success stories, even if they're not in our company. It's not competition. That's, yes, it is technically, but collaboration is more valuable than what we might lose in competition. And those of us that believe that, we help each other. But in network marketing, folks, one of the key crazy advantages is somewhere in your upline, 3 generations, 5 generations, 10 generations above you, is somebody making $1 million a year in your comp plan selling your products, if your company's been around a while. And all they want to do is teach you what they did. They don't want to hide it from you. They don't want to make it mysterious. They don't want to compete with you. They just want to teach you what they did. Why? Well, because if you duplicate and make $1 million a year, they just made 1.1.
True. That's the best thing about our business. It is the best thing ever. It's like we multiply leaders who multiply leaders. That's what we do.
Best opportunity in the history of the world.
1,000.
And Sarah Robbins, you are one of the Grand Dame ambassadors, success stories. Whether you're starting over or you're riding high, it doesn't matter. We are looking forward to watching you and Romy and Shackley and Roger create a beautiful story in the next few years and add $1 billion a year to that brand, and come back and tell us more stories.
I sure will. And I'm so glad we got to share some stories together today. Some funny ones too.
Where do people get this?
Okay, themultiplymethod.com. And I will say, when you buy it on themultiplymethod.com, we've got some great bonuses. 1 book, you get the workbook. There's implementation in each chapter, which is so cool. So you're going to be generating leads chapter by chapter, which is really neat. We have some other bonuses too. You buy 5, we're doing 6 sessions of coaching on the Multiply Method. So by the end of 6 sessions, you're building on the same system that I am. But it is my goal. This will work, by the way. This is not a storybook. It's a book of systems. This will work for anybody, any company. It is going to be so much simpler to sell and sponsor than you think. Our goal is to just multiply the message right now of the Multiply Method. And Richard, I just thank you so much for helping us do that today.
You're welcome. I read it already, cover to cover. It's beautiful. It's awesome. It's simple, proven systems over and over again. Get the book. If you have a team of 5 people, get 5 books and do a book study on it and absorb it, right? Spaced repetition, absorb, practice, mastery. It's worth it. The work is worth it. Thank you, Sarah Robbins.
Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for tuning in to The Authentic Networker. We'll see you next time. This is Richard Bliss Brooke, signing off.